Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. And today I am going to get carried exactly by who on my team list remains to be seen. I'm not going to spoil it, you're just going to have to wait and see. Today I'm playing in the 121B and I'm playing on the highway map. This is kind of a version of the 121. It's very similar to a T62A meets a 121. Kind of great at everything, but just doesn't really have a unique flavor of gameplay, and so not a lot of people probably ended up loving this tank, even though statistically it's got a lot of good things in a lot of good areas. Firstly, a wide, fantastic variety of ammunition. APCR rounds with great shell velocity, 261mm a pen, high explosive anti-tank rounds with 350mm a pen. 350, that's outrageous, and also high explosive rounds with 105mm of penetration, which are fabulous for going through lightly armored tanks. Now this was the last ever game I played in the 121B when I didn't have intuition, because I just forgot about how good, or didn't realize how good the ammunition was on this tank. And you're going to see me quite a lot of times in this replay where I really should have had another round loaded. For example, here, if I had heat, I could probably easily go through the upper hull of the 277. Instead, I've only got the APCR rounds loaded. It's going to take me a little while to figure out that I should have just been firing heat in the first place, and I would have probably been up a good chunk of damage. Also, earlier on, while I did have the right round loaded with the APCR, I should have fired higher against the 121B on the enemy team. And I think that's the only thing that really sucks about this vehicle, is that it doesn't really have the best of aim time and gun handling, and nobody really wants to take vertical stabilizers on your tier 10 mediums these days. You want to be taking things that either help you spot against the Leopard there, or things that help you be able to amplify the rate of fire of the vehicle. But still, this is one of the tanks that I would consider using vertical stabilizers on, because its gun handling is just so awkward. And you'll see that I had heat loaded there. Otherwise, I could have fired through the wall against the Leopard, so instead I'm having to try and aim through the gap against the Leopard here. But if I could have quick switched out to AP or even to the high explosive rounds on this tank, I could have been able to shoot through the gap. And really unfortunate there that another 121B joins the fray. Or is it actually the same 121B that went across, but because he went through the walls, he was actually able to get the jump on me there. Awkward stuff indeed, so 100% get yourself intuition on this tank. Since I have, it's been much more fun to play. Alright, so we're in a very tricky scenario here on highway. We're going to fire a high explosive anti-tank round here against the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. And we somehow don't manage to penetrate them. Maybe I hit their gun. Again, if I'd had the APCR round or even the HE round, I probably would have done some more guaranteed damage to the tier 10 German light tank. Just look at that gun handling. It's definitely not good news. We're in a bit of a pickle here. We've got a 277 who's about to come round the corner, but I don't think this 277 is really thinking that we're going to be able to survive. He turns his turret round, engages us once, we're going to be able to shoot them down again, and I guess he's expecting that all of his friends are going to be taking us out very quickly. The STB-1 decides to fire high explosive rounds at us. He does 211 with his first shot. Then I realize he's firing HE, just keep my frontal armor towards him, and I'm able to only take 24 damage from the subsequent shell. And just like that, we're up to 5,500 combined in this game, and hopefully it's going to be a little bit more. I don't even know where that shot went against the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. And I have to admit, I was getting rather irate with where my shells were going. So immediately after this game, I changed my loader skills to make sure I had intuition. Even then, it's probably also a case that I'm not using vertical stabilizers on this tank, and I really think that it's one that demands them. It's because I haven't got enough field mods on this vehicle yet to feel comfortable to forego having a commander's vision system on the tank, as it just seems to be so darn meta, at least for me on my medium tanks in the game. If I had multiple field mod loadouts, I'd probably have one setup, which is gun rammer, vents, and vertical stabilizers, and then I'd have another setup where I drop one of those modules. For me personally, the vertical stabilizers, but maybe for you, you'd want to drop the vents to be able to use a commander's vision system instead. Alright, so the 121B on the enemy team is fired, so I'm going to try and race forwards to see if I can be able to get them. And now we've got the world's most awkward game of chase right now, where he's chasing me, I'm chasing him. I thought that I was going to be able to get a shell between his reload, but luckily the Manticore on my team actually manages to get a shot into the 121B, which allows me to finish them off as they come around the corner. And you got to see just how relentless this vehicle is with regards to its longevity. Although, can I really say that, considering I haven't blocked a single point of damage in this game? But maybe my opponents weren't firing at us because of our strong turret. Maybe they just weren't wanting to be able to bounce off my upper hull, which is why they felt like they wanted to try and cross. So a disastrous miss there against the Leopard. Could have aimed that for a second longer, but with the STRV-103B above me, I didn't want to hang around in that scenario. And especially with artillery on the enemy team, who at any moment's notice could be trying to get us. Luckily, a little bit more spotting against the Sturritzfang 103B. Looks like I'm sharing again my spotting with the Manticore here, as we're only getting half of the value of the damage that's being dealt. And there we go. The artillery manages to loop a shell nearly at us, but luckily, they're actually located in kind of this position rather than right in the corner, otherwise they could probably splash me around. Alright, so up to 6,700 combined in this round. I'm worried about the Leopard still being on my left, but I feel like in this scenario, with the STRV being stunned, that I have to commit, and oh dear, the Leopard was in the corner. I thought maybe he was still hanging around the buildings. I thought maybe he had even tried to leg it at that scenario to try and get away from the 5 vehicles that were approaching him, but unfortunately for me, it wasn't the case. So in this scenario, the best thing you can do is to let your team know where the Leopard is. I highlight the corner of the map a couple of times, and then I start to feel a little bit sad that maybe I just threw this game with that aggressive play against the STRV-103B. In this scenario, I feel like you've got to take your chances, and we had to be able to dig out the STRV-103B and the Leopard before all of the enemy tanks start to make their way back. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, and at this stage of the game, I decided to leave the battle because I just thought no one on my stream really wants to watch what I thought was just going to be 5 minutes and then a horrible loss. So now, let's join our hero of the battle, who is going to try and keep calm and carry QuickyBaby. It is Rolojumba _next gen. And what we're going to see about Rolojumba is that not only are their plays next gen, also their connection seems to be incredibly next gen as well, as they have some of the most horrendous lag that I think I've ever seen a player have. And this isn't, do not adjust your screens, do not adjust your sets. That is basically Rolo's connection completely dropping out. Now, Rolo has had a decent game up until this point. 1,500 damage, 2,660 assistance. That's good stuff for a Manticore. But your job's not done yet, buddy. I want you to be able to keep my wreck in it to see if we can be able to get through this one with a win. Now, Rolo has decided to go for a full scout setup on the Manticore, something which has been used to great effect in the random queue recently. He's going for coated optics, commander's vision system, and an exhaust on this vehicle. That will allow him to be able to get over 500 meters view range. The commander's vision system is going to allow him to be able to pierce the bushes, and the exhaust is going to be able to pump up the Manticore's camera rating to at least the 50 mark on the move, if not even slightly more, as they're even using a directive to pump it up a little bit further. All in all, this means that the Manticore is the god of spotting. There's no better spotting tank at high tiers when you have the vehicle set up like this. On the other hand, Rolo's combat capacity is going to be utterly horrendous. Look how the reticle is blooming out like a pineapple from the lack of the vertical stabilizers, and his rate of fire is going to be awful to go along with it. Will Rolo be able to connect the shell into the T-124? Luckily he does, and doesn't get spotted in that scenario. We can see at about 420 meters view range, but when you've got 54 camo on the move, base, even when you fire, that's probably still going to hold up at least about 5 if not 10% camo when you're firing in a vehicle like this, which does allow you against a T-124, who a lot of people aren't going to be taking coated optics on that tank, to really get this kind of like sweet spot where you don't even have to spot them and then pull out of their spotting maximum spotting distance of 445 meters. You can just kind of shoot them around about the 430 to 445 mark, and even while you're taking a bit of a risk that they might be able to spot you, more or less you can be able to get away with it. And when you need to be able to get as many shots out in the game as possible to come back from a numerical deficit, yeah, you've got to get them going. Alright, so Rolo changes the 2 versus 6 scenario now into a 2 versus 5, as his TVP T50/51 is making their way back from the town. Can't really just call that thing the TVP anymore. There are so many, there's now multiple TVPs in the game, right? I've been playing a lot of the TVP 100 recently, so if I fumble my words talking about the TVP 50/51, you're going to have to forgive me. I have been loving that Tier 8 Czechoslovakian turreted tank destroyer so much that I'm actually trying to grind to be able to get it on not only my free-to-play account, but also my account on the US server. Wish me luck. It's a lot of effort, but hopefully we're going to be able to get there. At the end of the day, I really need to do it for free on my free-to-play account because I don't want to spend any gold, because gold is so rare on that account, but maybe I can afford to skip a few stages on the server of capitalism. Alright, so Rolo is going to hopefully be able to get a shot into the side of the T-124 here, shooting just past the wreckage or the depot that's inside, marking the, designating the cap circle there, managing to shut down at least half the hit points off the T-124. Talk about shut down. Unfortunately for Rolo, the TVP T50/51 manages to get caught, but even more unfortunately, Rolo is having major lag, driving straight out in front of the Leopard. Yes, pretty much that was an unfortunate scenario. Luckily, it doesn't even look like Rolo is going to be hindered by that awful ping as they change their 1 versus 5 into a 1 versus 4. But we've got no chance to be able to have a bit of a respite here after the kill on the Leopard, as Rolo decides to fire clutch against the Batchat, not even wanting to aim fully there to be able to shut down the Tier 10 French autoloader. Now in that kind of a situation, if I was on 1,000 hit points as Rolo lags even more in this game, I would have probably aimed and tanked another shot from the Batchat, because the fate of missing there was just instant death. The Batchat would have survived, the Batchat would have chased down, probably been able to get another couple of shots in. Alright, so Rolo is now on 4 kills, changing their 1 versus 5 into a 1 versus 3. Now Rolo's going to be able to see if he can sneak up into these bushes with 10 seconds left on the interrupt, and this is just beautiful stuff. Uses the new outline system to be able to feather out the shot against the T-124, putting a round right through the side of the American tank destroyer, and now moving as quickly as they can to hopefully be able to avoid the GWE-100's wrath. I like what Rolo did there. Suggested to the STRV that they were going to make their way up there, waited until the 10-second spotting distance, which he should probably go up to about 12 seconds, because Tier 10 tanks quite often have designated target, to suggest to the STRV that they should be aiming towards the south. Instead, Rolo is going to go and work these bushes to see if they can be able to interrupt the cap circle, not once, but twice. There's the STRV 103B, Rolo's going to aim for the shot, and seeing that the STRV 103B is starting to turn around, Rolo decides to fire clutch there. Now if Rolo had had a little bit more time, probably could have pulled back behind the bushes to avoid being spotted. And it's interesting now that Rolo's firing APCR rounds, where I genuinely think an HE round could be able to splash the STRV 103B. And ricocheting off the upper hull and getting spotted once again, Rolo, surely you've got to be scared of the artillery right now. Okay, so Rolo ricochets an APCR round, now decides to try and spot the STRV again, but can't quite manage to get vision. Maybe the STRV is using a Camonet, or maybe they just got very fortunate there. Wow. Rolo takes the chance, aims for the weak point, and snipes it in. Even the Manticore's mediocre accuracy there, not managing to hinder Rolo. But with the siren sounding, now Rolo has less than 2 minutes to be able to see if he can be able to find the GW100. Now Rolo Jumba says, AFK, you think? You're asking your team. You're asking your team, Rolo. You are the one putting the team on the back. You are the one doing 6,000 combined in a Manticore and changing a 1 versus 5 into a 1 versus 1. You're asking the team where the artillery would be? I think they should be asking you where the artillery would be in this scenario, buddy. 6 kills to Rolo's name, already secured a top gun. But it doesn't mean anything if they can't manage to find the GWE-100, who has actually not fired for a little while. So you might kind of expect that he could possibly be AFK or alternatively over towards the city. Alright, Rolo. Don't choke now. You've done all the hard work. There's the GWE-100. Rolo puts a shot right through the side of the tank. GWE doesn't move. Rolo starts to lag again. Oh no. No. Not like this. Not like this, Rolo. Please, connection, come back. Not like this, Rolo. Not like this. And thank goodness it wasn't to be, boys and girls, as Rolo keeps calm, carries QuickyBaby, and does a little dance at the end of the game, as you should do if you've just managed to secure yourself a Kolobanov's medal at tier 10. Conducting just a tremendous carry in the Manticore. Now, Rolo, with the lag, this just transcends the replay into absolute god tier. I think I wouldn't have been able to remain calm if my computer had been lagging and stopping me from being able to get through or even just have an opportunity for a fair fight in this scenario. The fact that you were able to get through this kind of hard mode Kolobanovs with a dodgy connection as well, especially when I thought you were about to just auto forwards in front of 3 vehicles that were trying to cap out the circle. That was just tremendous. So Rolo Jimba succeeds in their quest in carrying QuickyBaby. I thought I had a good game in the 121B, right? Rolo tops me by getting an ace tanker with 1,259 base experience, 4,000 damage, and 2,660 assistance. Is bang on with 100 base defense points for interrupting the cap circle multiple times. Those 7 kills, half of the enemy team in a light tank that wasn't even using a gun rammer, is enough to get them a top gun, and Rolo gets the one that everybody wants, the Kolobanov's medal for standing alone against 5 opponents. Although, yeah, let's not look at the credit income, as I think Rolo was only firing gold in this game. So Rolo, congratulations to you on this absolute mammoth game of World of Tanks, and thank you so much for being so responsive when I sent you a message afterwards, when I saw that it was actually a win in the 121B, and sending me the complete replay, because boy, was this a fun one to watch. It's one of those kind of games where I just leave thinking, there's no way my team wins this. And yeah, to be able to get Kolobanov's medals, it was one of those games. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that's it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for the World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase live later on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, seeing how the STB1 is currently top of the tree, I'm going to showcase all of the Japanese mediums so you can get an idea of whether they are worth it. So, really looking forward to seeing you all live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby as I play the highest DPM medium tank with the best gun depression. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.